If you drove by any theater sometime this weekend, you would realize that the summer blockbusters are now in full swing.
Yeah, starting with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
And it's a sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, made by James Gunn, who is well known for his smaller, lower budget movies.
Yes, like Super
and Slither, and we are big fans of James Gunn and what he's done with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, I really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was so much fun and so entertaining to watch. I think I've seen that movie several times since then, and I was so excited for this movie. So when we went to go see it, unfortunately, I was disappointed.
And for me, watching the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I did enjoy myself, but I didn't feel the same oomph that everybody else felt watching Guardians of the Galaxy. I liked it, I thought it was fun, but I didn't feel any sort of necessary need to watch it immediately. And then eventually I watched it, probably like a year later again, and I was like, this holds up, it's enjoyable. But going into this movie, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I probably would say I enjoyed it more than I did the first movie. Now, getting into that though, the first movie definitely, I mean, it's origin. You're getting to know these characters and they're all starting to come together to work as a team, and they have falling out and come back together, and it's fine. It was a good introduction to these characters. Whereas the second one, you just are up and rolling, and they have been together already for a little while, and they're doing their thing. They're going across the galaxy, you know, working odd jobs here or there, getting the money, and eventually it starts to break down character-wise. You know, some of their drawbacks come into play, which does put friction on the team dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things that I did like was that the chemistry that they all had together, which was the same that it was in the first one, which it really flowed into this one. Of course, the music was great. I really enjoyed the music. Granted, I did like the music a little bit more in the first one, but nonetheless, the music in this one was still awesome. There was definitely some comedic points that I cracked up, and I loved it. And of course, by no surprise, I loved Baby Groot. And I also loved Yondu and his play into the story as well, and I liked what they did with his character.
And I think the music is also a big reason why people really enjoyed the first one, and then maybe why they didn't enjoy the second one as much, because I enjoyed the first soundtrack that they came out with, Volume 1 for Guardians of the Galaxy, and then for the second one, there were some songs on that list that I hold very close to me. For instance, there's the opening number, and the opening number is one of my favorite songs of all time. So kind of playing into the introduction to the movie and what they utilize, how they shoot it, is something that I loved, whereas others did not feel the same way about that opening scene. It was a miss or it was a hit, and for me it was a big hit.
Yes, and then it's no surprise that Kurt Russell was in this movie, but there is an awesome thing that happens at the very beginning of the movie, and it was one of those times where Disney did it again with Kurt Russell.
And that's the thing, is Kurt Russell is also another reason why this movie hit really well with me. What they do with Kurt Russell's character, Ego, is by far like more detrimental to the story in terms of, you know, impact than what some of the other characters in the first movie gave us. So this Ego definitely puts far more weight into what is going on in their universe than what happened in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So seeing Kurt Russell shine in that moment, he belonged, I think, and then how they explained Kurt Russell and Ego and all that, because he definitely has a backstory in the comics when it comes to who Ego is, and then in this one they do explain it very well to kind of get everybody up to the same page when it comes to his history or lore in the comics. So I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, and I think that some of the stuff that I didn't like was the pacing a little bit. I was just kind of like as you get through the movie, I was just like, oh, what's going on? Like, it was at a stalemate, like nothing was happening, and it kind of was just flowing, and you're just like, okay, like what what's going on.
And that's where I could see some of the hang-ups for Guardians of the Galaxy is in the first movie, there is a narrative going on with Thanos and Ronan and Nebula and the core, essentially. Everybody. The entire galaxy was up in arms. And then, the Nova Corps was looking for, how to stop Ronan and what was going on with the Infinity Stone. And it was a very all hands on deck. This one, it's almost like they took the side stories of the first movie and those became the centric storylines. So when it comes to Yondu and it comes to what's going on with Nebula and Gamora, I mean, it's much smaller storylines that are now at the forefront of this story. And they do kind of get hung up in the dialogue and the, we're going to make funny jokes here one right after another. And sometimes it does drag on a little bit too long. For instance, there is a scene with Baby Groot when they're with Yondu and he keeps, they're trying to explain to him, how to basically execute a plan. And it's the prelude to what you saw in the trailers with no, you push this button, push that button, you push this. So it's like that happens more than once in the movie, and the first time it happens does drag out too long, in my opinion. And then the fact that they put you push this and this and this, that whole conversation, granted a little bit longer, that is the end of the movie. So I'm kind of bummed that they did show us that entire scene, because the whole trailer was that whole big part of that scene, so we already knew what was going to happen as it played out.
Well, yep, exactly, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But at the same time, too, just for me, I feel like they tried a little too hard with some of the comedic things that they did. Like you said, that they dragged it on a little bit too much, like the Baby Groot scene that was in the middle of the movie. It did kind of drag a little bit too much, and you're kind of just like, okay, can we just speed it up a little bit? And then there was like reoccurring ones that it kind of just fell short in the middle for me. And
then there were long, comedic plot points that, my nipples. I mean, that was definitely something that, they didn't overdo it, and then it pays off. But then there were some other ones that do it's a little too much. And then there's a little too much randomness in there. So I could see why that would kind of throw the movie off in terms of just how you were along for the ride in the first one. And this one, you're waiting for the ride to go on. But when the ride does start, it definitely gets crazy.
Yeah, and then I picked up again. I'm like, okay, here we go. Now we're starting to get to where we need to be. And then it flowed better, and I was more like focused on what was going on. And there were some cameos, I guess, essentially, that were cool. I was like, oh, that's funny. And then there was ones that are like, oh, that's cool that they brought them into the story and stuff like that. And it was enjoyable to see these moments. And then again, there's a couple other songs that are in the movie that I thought they utilized them very well. Especially there's one in particular that they have in one of the first trailers that they did, and it's in a very pivotal part of it, so I felt really amped up when it started playing, because I was like, oh, okay, this is where it kind of came full circle from that first trailer, and now it's taking place in a pivotal moment. I think they did a good job at not keeping the conflict under wraps as to what the narrative of the story is, because you really did not get that in the trailers, but as you're watching the movie, that's kind of where you're like, well, what's going on? Where's the conflict? Where's the issue? Who's the villain? And you don't get that answer till quite a ways into the movie. And then finally, when it's revealed, it's pretty big. One of the standout characters that I really, really enjoyed was Mantis. Yes, absolutely, Mantis. She was great. She, the way that she, the dialogue that she had, and the way that she interacted with, the way that she is, and then interact with Drax and the way that he is, the conversations that they have were hilarious, and I loved them. Very well done, and I loved how innocent she was and how soft-spoken she was. And it's funny because there were a lot of sad moments in this movie too to balance out the comedy, and a few of the sad moments were with her, right off the bat. I kind of felt really bad for her, and I'm happy that she's kind of siding with the Guardians.
but still, like, there were things that happened with her and happened with Drax where it was hilarious one minute, and like you said, it flips and it's very sad the next minute. And then that being said, you go into Baby Groot. A sad Baby Groot is not a good thing.
Oh my god, there were several of them.
It totally breaks your heart when you see Groot.
It was horrible. I was like, why? Why would you put that in there?
But it was also a very rocket, emotional ride. And Yondo was another big emotional ride when it comes to it. So I thought they did good with that. Michael Rooker, always a fan, and I'm happy that he's part of this universe.
So, I mean, I could see where people will really enjoy this movie, and then I see, like, me and, like, what other people, like, didn't enjoy it as very much as well. So... It's
understandable, but still a lot of fun. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2... I would probably give it a 4.25.
See, I was thinking a lot about this when we were coming out of the theater. I was like, I wonder what I would rate it, because I liked it. Like, okay, so here's the first movie, and here's the second. Like, it never, like, there was no, like, it wasn't, I didn't hate it, but I didn't, like, overly loved it very much. It kind of was just like, okay, fun movie. What's next, you know?
What's next is your score.
Yeah. But my next, I would give it a 3.7 out of 5.
3.7 out of 5, 4.25 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun tale. It's quite an adventure. Again, though, I don't feel the need to really run out and see it again, but I do feel the need to get the soundtrack and listen to it, because it's, like I said, a lot of fun, and there's a few songs on there that if you use it in the movie, I'm going to enjoy your movie. In fact, Daddy Daycare, there's a specific moment where there's a song in Daddy Daycare that's in this one as well, and I loved it, every second of it. So I enjoyed what they did with it. James Gunn, he's coming back for Volume 3. Let's hope he gets rolling into throwing them into something that's a little bit more galaxy-altering stories versus, small little character-driven epics. So we shall see. So thank you guys so much for joining us for our non-spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes, you could go like and subscribe and tell us what you thought of the movie as well. I would love to hear what you guys thought. You can also go on our social media sites like our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram and let us know.
We will be going to Phoenix Comic-Con coming up on Memorial Weekend, so if you are in the Phoenix area and you are going to that, say hi, because we will be there and you will see us all over the place trying to get as much footage as we can for our Phoenix Comic-Con 2017 video.
Yes, as well as in the next couple of months we are going to be going to the Schmodown and Collider. We're going to be competing in their movie trivia, so that's exciting. And then
we are going to be going to D23, so maybe we'll get some information about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We definitely will be getting a little bit more information about Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I'm hoping I see Tom Hiddleston in the flesh.
Yeah, it is going to be exciting. So if you are in Anaheim in July, we will be at D23, sleeping on the floor of some hall somewhere, waiting to get into a panel just to get a glimpse of the Tom Hiddleston's flesh, as you so put it.
Comes up next, and I'm excited to see what Disney has in their slate.
And you can head over to our Patreon, and you can help kick into the party to fuel the party, because going to all these places are going to take a little bit of extra help. Yes. Otherwise, you can just like and subscribe and do the thing to help us. That is far more appreciated by us. And thank you guys as always. Now it's time to say goodbye. Bye.